Hello, welcome to today's video diary for finding my way with Pi, purpose, intention, and emotion. I am Pi, and curiously observing my emotions, as is the intention of the video diaries. Today, I'm observing that I feel hopeful, I feel proud, and I'm feeling more integrated, just whole person well-being. Today I had a session with my career coach where some of the work that we've been doing as we've been going through my story work and framing, who is Kara, who is Pi? And then, putting that on my LinkedIn profile, it's been absolutely a journey of self-discovery and the power in telling my story and also the narrative of my story. It's not only that these things happened, but how am I interpreting them? And how am I interpreting, these events in my life, be it positive or negative? And I have had some stacked negative. I also have positive. They're both absolutely just crucial parts of our foundations. I have said in a previous video diary that the experiences themselves connected to my trauma were built up so awful and hard and painful in my mind. And when I finally gave name to them and said them and not afraid to say them, well, the build up to that was, I'll be honest, a few weeks of deep work, lots of tears. It was not a comfortable process, but for the first time in my life, I am beginning to talk about these things without being completely just debilitated with crying and unable to talk about it or process it or even, have the courage to say it or admit it. And all that buildup, first of all, that process is necessary to transform and to build the courage and to really experience the emotions of what those events created in me, okay? That's so super important part of the process that I'm observing was actually experiencing those things. And coming out the other side of that, what I'm observing now is that I have such a deeper appreciation for my life and its richness, its complexity, the depth of character that I have, the well of strength and resilience that I possess, and dare I say now, the pride that I possess in persevering and thriving in spite of those things. And it's pretty interesting because I guess it comes back full circle. I always wanted to be an example for people. As a little girl, I wanted to be a motivational speaker. And the reason I think I wanted to be a motivational speaker was because I did live in difficult circumstances and in deep poverty. And I felt the light inside of myself. And I yearned to achieve and succeed and to be able to pull myself out of that poverty. But also I felt, why should I be any less than anyone else? And I know there's people out there like me who live in extreme poverty. I look around me and I see them. And I see that they have all of the makeup and the buildup of being a whole human, and that they also could pull themselves out of it. Sometimes they didn't want to, or there were automatic thought processes or patterns, and sometimes you can't see. If you can't see what's possible, you don't even know to yearn for it or to reach for it or that you could achieve it. They just couldn't see. And that fueled my desire even then to want to be a motivational speaker, because maybe I could help people see, but more than that, help them discover within themselves their light and their power and their capacity and ability to pull themselves up if that's what they chose. That's what I wanted to be when I was a little girl. And now, going through my own story this way and going through this development process of self, this integration of self, understanding my story and its narrative, I'm seeing that I'm developing that now in myself, perhaps to a greater extent and a more effective extent than I ever have in my life and up until this point, because I've wholly embraced all of me. I cannot show or lead others by example or be a motivational force for others if they can't see where I came from and what I pulled myself out of and what I've survived through and thrived in spite of it. Which brings me back around full circle to this whole being and why I believe it's so important. It's a choice. It really is. And sometimes I think we don't know we have a choice, but I will say with full belief that I think everyone has the choice to develop themselves, and that development might be something different than what you expected it to be. It's not about learning a new skill or something else you can apply at work or whatever. Those things are great too. I'm not saying they're bad. What I'm saying is development of self is knowing yourself, and you can't know yourself if you don't stop and spend the time with yourself and review your story and narrate your own story to understand it. I guess it was about 6 weeks ago, I, on one of my assignments, had written a reflection, which my professor read. And the reflection was something along the lines of, I am in a self-discovery, I'm on the self-discovery road, and it's such a long road and difficult road. And she wrote a note back to me that said, your road of self-discovery and healing may not necessarily be super long, but it could be windy. I laughed when I read that. It was such a delightful reminder that it will be as long as I choose it to be. It will go as deep as I choose to go. And she was right, because now, looking back from the time I wrote that 6 weeks ago to now, it was rather windy. It was gusty. It was a gusty day walking down that self-discovery road. My hair blew all over the place. Tears were streaming down my face because my eyes were irritated. I cried thinking it would never end. When will the wind stop bashing, blowing, beating? But it did. It did slow down. It is a process. It is temporary. And it was so enlightening. I write poetry, as you may well know if you've been watching the video diaries. And coming out the side of this process, I thought, I really want to know, what does whole being mean? And the words just bubbled up. Sometimes the way poetry comes to me is just an urgent need to write, and I just write, and I just write, and it just comes out, and it comes out, and it comes out, until suddenly it just dries up, and there's no more. It's, I think it's just an outpouring of my heart. So, this poem is called Wholebeing, and it's much more uplifting than the last one, Trauma Redeemed. This would be, once you've passed through Trauma Redeemed, and you begin to feel more of what whole being feels like. Here goes. What does whole being mean, and how do we grow from hiding to being seen, accepted, and whole? The journey begins inside, deep in your heart, where your spirit resides. Here we start. Listen, hear, and receive what your heart and body most need. The truth, the honesty, the strength to be, the strength to choose, the strength to see a new perspective on what transpired and what's to be. Your life doesn't happen to you so you can be small. It happens to mold you so you can stand strong and tall. So you can understand that without both dark and light, we don't know how to stand with our heads held high. Why do you struggle, I ask of the caterpillar, struggling out of its chrysalis? Because struggle develops the strength to spread my wings and soar over the abyss. I must work with all my might. It's how I become strong enough to fly. The struggle, the work, it's painful, hard, and it hurts. This is part of life, the miracle in the strife. It makes it possible to blossom in life. The dark and the light, how they speak to each other, how they feed and uplift one another, give meaning and purpose and passion for you to wield in this life. So you see, don't hide. Learn to embrace the possibilities your trauma unleashed. You don't have to appreciate the bad. Simply see it, know it. It's a tool you have to do your life's work instead of being small. Use it to fuel you to answer the call of your heart, your spirit, your life, to dance between the shadows and the light, to see yourself whole, loved, and well. Spread your wings and set sail. Life is waiting for you. You get to choose. Will you embrace your whole self? Be who you are? Live, love, laugh, reach for the stars? I want to look back on my life with a smile on my lips and a twinkle in my eye. I want to say, with the last breath I give, that I gave it my all, my whole self. I lived. Thanks for being with me on this journey. I'm so glad you're here, and I hope it helps you too. I'll see you tomorrow.